Hey everybody, welcome to ToRAISE Questions Doula podcast. This is Melanie Headley. I'm here with Thérèse Hakoun, the Executive Director of ToLABOR. ToLABOR is an international doula training and certifying program and also the sponsor of this podcast. Hey,
Hi.
Thérèse.
Hey, Melanie. Hi, everyone. How's everyone doing? You guys can't answer. So, Melanie, how are you doing?
I'm great.
Yeah.
I have 4 kids,
Right.
but I don't have any kids at home right now.
Nice.
And we will get to that reason later on.
Okay.
But, my husband said the other day, I just feel, because we've been without them since Tuesday.
And how old are your kids? Tell everyone, remind them. I think we talked about it originally.
5, 7, 10, and 11.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and it's summertime. So, yeah. And my husband the other day said, God, I feel like I can breathe.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's not, it's so interesting because obviously you adore your children, love them to pieces, but it is so nice if you, they're at your mom's house right now, right?
Right now they are, yes.
And then they're going to your good friend's house.
Yes.
Who's getting bonus prizes for this.
Lots.
Like a case of wine or something.
A case of wine.
But as long as we know your children, our children are in the hands of somebody that you trust and that you know that love them too, it's so nice to have that break. And I really never had that. So I always try to encourage people to allow themselves that time without their children. And if you don't want to, that's totally okay. But I think there's that really necessary break that your children need from you and you need from them so that you can appreciate each other in a different way. It's like love makes the heart love makes the heart grow fonder. Yeah, that's right.
True too.
Distance makes the heart grow fonder, or whatever that cliche is. Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, with your children as well.
Well, and they're at an age, this is the first time that they've been away from the house. Usually parents will split them up and I'll take the two older, I'll take the two younger, or whatever.
That's right.
But this is the first time that they've all 4 been together, and they're doing really fun stuff. They're riding horses and they're going hiking and
they're having a good time at the grandparents' house.
Yeah. And then my best friend offered to take them for another couple of nights to hang out with her kids. And they're like cousins. They love each other. Mm-hmm. And I got a little nervous and kind of sad. Well, I missed them. Maybe I should have them back. And I thought, they are going to remember this, and they are going to have so much fun, even just these 2 days of like trampoline time and pool time with their,
cousins.
Pseudo cousins.
Right.
And that's summer,
Well, and also you slap yourself in the head and go, what, am I crazy? I have the opportunity. Somebody is saying they would take my children.
It was a fleeting moment, Thérèse.
Yeah. But some people have that fleeting moment that lasts a little longer. And again, I was always with my kids, and part of it was my mama heart was just too stuck, but also it was circumstances. So I just didn't have family or friends that could take that many children around me. And so I didn't have that opportunity. And the very few times when I was totally away from my kids, I really, appreciated how important it was. And I would make promises to myself that I would take advantage of that again somehow, but I didn't. And I just think I was a good mom, but I think it would have enhanced my mothering had I had more time to myself at times so I could refresh as well. And for my relationship as well, to have that. I'm sure you are having a different experience just being with Peter.
We are having a blast.
Yeah, because you don't.
So nice.
Yeah, you get to be adults alone again and rediscover what you also liked about each other besides your children.
Yes.
Yeah. So, well, good. So
we're really excited about what we're going to talk about today. We're going to have a phone call in from 2 doulas in the DC metro area to ToLABOR Certified Professional Birth Doulas, who we both have just kind of a really nice history with.
Right.
So we will be calling them shortly. And what's our tip today?
This is one that, many of you already know or think of, but just to put it out there as a reminder or as a new one, when a woman is in labor, she will reach a place usually during that transition and specifically during pushing, if she's unmedicated. A woman who's medicated probably will not be sweating. But the woman who is medicated is really, unmedicated is really, really hot because she's working so hard. And cold washcloths just are like heaven on somebody. So the tip, though, is make sure when you're at the labor, and I'm speaking now hospital, but could be birth center or home, have a pile of washcloths. Ask if it's in the hospital. Ask the nurse where are the washcloths, or would they mind giving you a bunch of washcloths just so you have them ready for when it gets to that place. Look for the big bin that they usually have, like that pink or yellow, ugly colored bin that
it used to be the emesis basin.
Yeah, well, the emesis I think it was that small kidney shaped thing, but this is
right.
The sponge bath.
They'll know what you're talking about.
Yeah, the sponge bath bucket kind of thing. Have that. If you really need it for the throw up, then you'll use it. But otherwise, have that and fill it with cold water. And then go to there's usually a sink in the birth room. Go then to the nourishment center, which is on the floor that has coffee, tea, water, and crackers and stuff like that. And get a big cup or two or more, get a container full of ice.
Yes.
And fill it up with ice and take it back to the room and pour that in that cold water. And then that will be the water that you use for the cold washcloths. It may sound like, oh my God, that's so unnecessary or be so cold. When their bodies are so hot that when you take off the washcloth, you will see how quickly it gets warm.
Yes.
And you're putting that back into the cold water and it's warming it up. So the ice will just, you wring it out, you hand it to them, and it will just be like, oh, this feels so good. And you can, you can refill it again as need
just
be.
Keep adding ice to it.
Adding ice to it.
I like to put a couple of drops of essential oil in the water that we like. We talk about essential oils prenatally and see what scents they like and don't like. The ones that I like to use are actually called iris oils, and you can get them online. They're actually made by an L&D nurse here in our community.
And the other one is in North Carolina, and I was 2 nurses.
Mm-hmm. And they're each one is for a specific phase of the labor and birth. You can mix and match and use them however you want. But
irisoils.com.
Yes. And then another thing that I like to do is I try to hand the cloth to the partner to give to the mama, because when she gets that first cool cloth that smells really good, on her forehead or her chest or her back, she will look to the person who's giving it to her and be like, oh, thank you.
I want that credit. No.
So that's just like a little bonus for the partner.
Yeah, I always make sure, I may put, I want to make sure that they get one, if it's not me, them on the back of her neck, because and it often sits there for a while and then they forget about it. So I'm changing it out on their forehead. I usually hand them, I put one on their neck and I usually hand them one, depending on how busy they are at that moment. And let them, I'll say, here, wipe yourself down. And they will just put it all over their face. They'll put it down their chest. And that way I know they're doing it in the places that they feel. But other times I just lay it across the back of their neck and across their forehead. But I always try and put one on the back of the neck, because this is a tip that I learned years ago. If you are hot, to put cold right on, actually a little bit lower in the, like between your wing bones. Or if you're cold and you put hot there, it will immediately start to regulate your temperature in a different way.
Wow.
I know.
Interesting.
So I can't always get to that spot on their back, but I can put it on their neck, and they're just, oh, God, that feels so good.
Yeah.
So, and then remember to change them out because they get warm fairly quickly. You don't want to be obnoxious, but you want to wring out another one and hand them. That's why having multiple ones, like having 4 to 5 washcloths is really an ideal number. So that's my tip.
Good tip.
Thanks.
We'll be right back. Hey, everybody. We're so excited to talk to 2 of my personal favorite people.
And I love them too.
We are here with Tara Lucier and Mary Stutzman-Smith. Hi, guys.
Hey. Hi, guys. I'm
Hi.
excited to be here.
Hi, and both of these doulas are from Northern Virginia.
The DC area.
Yep.
And Tara, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, your background? How long have you been a doula?
Yes, absolutely. I'm so happy to be here, by the way. My name is Tara Lucier, and I've been a ToLABOR doula since, I think that was March of 2007.
Wow.
The first training in Wilmington, North Carolina, and then I took it again in 2008 with Melanie. And she was pregnant with Vivi Girl.
Yeah.
But I started attending births shortly after that first training in 2007, but I didn't get pretty regular until after my twin birth in 2009. So pretty full-time since 2010. So however you want to look at it, 8+ years, but 5 years of full-time work, given maternity leaves here and there.
And what is the name of your business and your website?
My website is beginwithinbirth.com, and I'm a doula in the D.C. metro area, D.C. and Northern Virginia mostly.
Great. And Mary?
Hi, my name is Mary Stutzman-Smith, and I am a ToLABOR doula as well, and have been practicing for, I guess, now 7 years, and have what I like to call full-time doulaing. And of course, there's some maternity leaves in there as I've got 3 kids, and just like Tara, I'm also in the Northern Virginia area. And what's kind of cool about us is that we are good friends. We've actually went to high school together, but we also each have solo practices and back each other up, which is another kind of neat thing about our relationship. But yeah, celebratedbirth.com is my website.
Great.
Beautiful new website she just put up.
She helped me with my website. She was my website doula,
That's great.
my web doula.
She's a website guru.
We had fun.
That's great.
And the 3 of us actually went to middle school and high school together.
That's crazy.
Yes. And
they're all beautiful, by the way, to those who are listening. Not that that matters, but they all happen to. They all happen to be. We'll show you. You'll see pictures of all of them when you look at their websites.
you should have seen us in high school.
And they're all mothers. Let's see, 3, 4, and 4. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I just say that I'm so happy that I'm on the phone with the 3 of you, because the 3 of you are like 3 of my most favorite people in the whole wide world.
Oh, that's so sweet.
So fun.
Okay, well, now we've got another love fest going on. So, what brings you to our phone today?
So we were going to talk a little bit about what Mary already touched on, which is just how grateful we are to have each other in doula. Like she said, we have our solo practices, but we're constantly supporting each other, uplifting each other. She's just like my person. I don't know how I would be a busy doula that I am without having her to process birth, to talk through a possibly awkward situation with a client or a business, situation, and then of course the birth. We do lots of cool stuff. Like we're both in the same area, as we said, and so we'll get a lot of the same inquiries, and so we're really like kind to each other. And we're kind of back and forth, and we kind of say, you know what, this would be a really good person for you, or hey, this would be a really good person for you. I've got this going on in my life, and so we're just kind of back and forth, and it's really just this organic, beautiful process.
So
Yeah, it is. And the reason we originally were thinking maybe we would chat about some cool birth stories, and that usually gets into us going, oh yeah, I remember when you told me about that story.
Yeah, exactly.
And so just in the fact that I was telling Tara that, I leave a birth and my first text, actually not even, like if I'm get a moment at the birth. I'm like, baby's here, and it's the text is to my husband and to Tara. Because I know I'll be calling her later in the afternoon to just process what went on and how it went down, and so it's just a really cool thing, and I think it's important, definitely, for doulas to have somebody to reach out to, and it's nice to have somebody who's also a doula and similar maybe personality or experience, and then it doesn't always have to be two. It could be someone who's just a listening ear, but it is
good listener.
Yeah, it's good to process through.
It sounds to me that you are each other's doulas for
Yeah, we really are. Yeah,
totally.
For doula work, and
yeah, we really do. That's it.
There are times, Therese, that I will call her and say, like, hey, I think I know what I should write, but I need you to tell me. I need you to validate that this is the right thing. And it's like just her to say, or, even sometimes just crafting it in her head, an email to a client. I'll call her and she'll say, oh, well, you should probably say, whether it's about payment or whether it's about, the last example was going out of town. I was going out of town. And
this is a good one. Yeah,
Sheila and Tara was covering me for the 5 days I was actually out of the country, and I had a mom at 39 weeks, starting her 39th week, and one at starting her 38th week. So they knew, obviously, they were in my contract, they were in the on-call period, so they knew even before hiring me that I would be out of town. But
which is important. I just want to interject that how important that is, what you're bringing up, Mary. So let me just pause you for 1 second. That This is something we talk about, in workshops. This is something we've talked about on this podcast already, but there's never enough times to say this, that it is so important to be transparent about that kind when you know that there is that you definitely are not going to be around at certain dates that are close to their due time, that in that before they hire you, they should know that. Or if it suddenly comes up, it should be that should be known right from the moment that transparency. And that the other issue is the contract that you mentioned, the importance of having a contract and those things written in. And there's always the unexpected, but specifically the known. So, yeah, it's great. And so did they know that Tara was going to be your backup as well, I assume?
Yep.
Okay.
Exactly. So even before they hired me, actually, most of my conversations in talking with prospective clients, I say, I work with a backup, a really dear friend of mine who's an amazing doula, and so they know that person's Tara's contact, so they can check her out online. They can do their own exploration if that's important to them. And so, they definitely knew, and what happened is I had crafted an email to them a couple weeks before, just saying, here's her contact. And since it's not a situation where since I would be out of the country, they really couldn't contact me first, and I could get a hold with her. It was more
right.
If you go into labor during these days, you need to actually contact her.
Yeah.
So, everybody's CC'd on that. Everybody's in the loop. Well, I had called Tara to ask her because I had a client who was 35 weeks, and I was debating on, do I let her know because she is so far out of the window. My contract.
Our contract is 38 weeks.
38
right. You're technically not. You're not on call.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly. And then so Tara was able to say, it's not like she's 37 weeks where she's, kind of getting close.
Right.
35 is pretty far out. Well, the funny thing about that story is she's the one who went into labor when I was at a
Oh, wow.
and Tara, so it was one of those things that,
so we've been backing each other up for like 4 or 5 years at least, right? Yeah. And we've never had to use it until just a couple weeks ago.
That was the first time.
So what happened?
Mary called me from a staticky phone in Aruba.
Because the woman, Mary,
so it worked out well.
Mary, did this woman call you then while you were out of the country?
Yeah, she did. She had emailed me that, and actually the reason I had called Tara is because I knew she was going to have an appointment with a MFA, and they were going to check for intrauterine growth for her baby. So I knew that there was potentially, in my head, going, maybe there would be an induction for some reason, and that's what spawned me to call Tara and say, maybe she should know. And so and then that's what happened. So she got to her appointment, and they were recommending induction. So she emailed me, and then she did text me a couple hours later and said, "Hey, I'm in the hospital," which I felt awful. I called her right away, and she was so kind. And they actually had hired a doula and had a backup for the birth of their first child. And so it was really hard for me. I've never been in that experience where I've had to. I mean, I felt great that I could give her over to Tara and know that the care she was going to get was exceptional, but it was hard to not be there for them.
Yeah.
And know that they had a similar experience.
But can I just, I want to hear your hindsight in 1 second. Just to add into that, though, it's one of those interesting moments because technically you had, and this is just technically, your contract, you weren't contractually responsible to be at her birth or provide backup for her at all, which is, that of course you want to, and of course you want to be there, and of course you want to give the backup person, and in the end you did. But, that's just something that is important, why contracts are important, because sometimes she might not have been able to get a hold of you, especially you're in Aruba. Ideally, you shouldn't have been looking at your emails and,
I know.
And even if you had received the text, you could have just ignored it, which I know it'd be really hard for you or any other person to do, but technically you're not responsible. So I just want to put that out there for whatever it's worth, that the contract.
I think it's really important. It's really important to talk about that phrase.
Yeah, but we do the best that we can, because I know this has happened to another doula who was getting on an airplane to go out of town, and her client, it was about 35 weeks, called and said, "I'm in labor." And she said, "Well, I'm going on a plane right now, but I can get you a backup person." And she was like, "Okay, that's totally great. Please, I know this isn't normal, but yes, that would be wonderful." So she sent her backup doula, who then her client went into labor during the labor. And so this lovely backup doula then got her backup doula to come to this woman's birth. And in the end, this backup did the birth for the mama. And what the mother said, and I know this for a fact, was just, I was so overwhelmed with how much support I received that I knew that she didn't even have to do, and the other doula didn't have to do, but they took care of me anyway. But she said I would have totally understood if she said, "I'm on a plane and I can't do anything to help you." She said I would have done it on my own. But so it's that fine line. Yeah. So your hindsight is what?
I'm sorry?
Would you now do it different? Would you have called somebody at 35 weeks that you knew was going to have a test?
I wouldn't. Yeah, I wouldn't, because I think that there's a respect for, like, my personal time, and that was helpful to process with Tara, to say that, you're not even, this person isn't, I think for me, I would say about a month in, maybe, 37 weeks, if I have plans, and my contract says 38, but I'll start at 37 in my mind.
Right.
And let them know. But outside of that, I'll take it. I mean, I am close to my phone, so I can probably respond pretty easily. But I will say it helps me, because instead of going into the postpartum, as I did the postpartum, it allowed me to say, instead of apologize by not being there, say, like, what are the chances? You know? To be able to have a different, to not sit there and go, "I'm so sorry I wasn't at your birth," and to take on that.
Don't you feel like if this would have happened to us in 2010, we would have been you would have felt more apologetic? Do you feel like
I'm
having
sure.
the experience was all the births that you do now, that it helped you to be like, no, it was outside my contract window, and I provided support when I wasn't contractually had to. Yeah.
I think it was really good that it is important what you're saying about the non-apology, because you had nothing to apologize for.
Yeah.
And
the boundaries had been set and expectations were clear.
Exactly.
And that also you, in the end, you not only that, but you had nothing to apologize for, because you you met their needs, even if it wasn't you personally. Professionally, you sent somebody to in your stead to, so you did, there was absolutely nothing to apologize. So your response of, what were the chances is perfect.
Yeah.
Is perfect.
Yeah.
It
is also
go ahead.
helpful to know that it's Tara and not
right.
somebody that I would want at my birth,
Melanie, we joked about saying how you guys were both at my birth with Happy. Just kidding.
Just kidding. Mary and I got kicked out of Tara's birth.
Yeah. Well, that sometimes happens.
For good reason, but we were having fun.
Oh, it was the best. It was the best. But then this whole birth that they're speaking of now, luckily, it was a pretty quick, efficient,
straightforward
and birth that Tara and I got to spend that evening together.
Yeah, that's nice. Well,
yes, exactly. Yeah, that was so much fun. Yeah, and I was just coming off a really long birth, so it was. I was very grateful. Yeah, the woman, she was your client was lovely. She took it all in stride.
But
being really great.
I just want to add to I appreciate your input that you wouldn't do anything different, that you felt like going out of town without them knowing that at 35 weeks was certainly within your right and your private life and your contract. So I totally agree with that and your decision to do that. But I am going to say, for somebody else who is listening, if you are grappling, you're struggling with this, that you're feeling like, no, but if I knew that they were going for the intrauterine growth, the IUGR testing, I would have felt more compelled to be on top of that. If that's what you're feeling, well, then I'm going to say, then you really got to look at that yourself. You really got to, if it's a special circumstance like that and you feel like, well, it would have been okay for me to let them know that I'm going out of town just in case it did look like an induction was going to happen, even though contractually I wasn't, on call yet. I could provide that reassurance to them that they would have a backup person there. That's fine if that's what you feel for a special circumstance, but and what you did, Mary, I think was totally okay. So I'm not saying one is better than the other.
And to clarify that she had actually had a good scan from her providers, and so this was sort of like a follow-up to confirm that everything was going great.
Uh-huh.
So it was me sort of anticipating, well, I've
the
been
what
in
ifs.
situations before, and so it wasn't her saying, it wasn't. If it had been that there were concern, I might have felt
sure,
like you said. So,
but what I want to just conclude with that is that if you are going out of town at 35 weeks or 34 weeks or 36 weeks, and you're just going to be gone for 5 days to a week, and you have not informed your client of that, I think that's totally okay, again, because of your own life. We have to remember that though we're on call for these people, just as we tell them to do life, we have to do life. We can't be living constantly with the what if they call me. And this is one of the reasons I say sometimes I feel like doulas really should set really strong boundary lines also about hours that they want to be called in, that they're not, except for when they're actually on call, that they shouldn't be on call for their clients at 10 o'clock at night or 2 o'clock in the afternoon, if that's time where they are at work or they are napping with their child or running with their friend or out to dinner with their partner. I mean, I think it is okay to conduct this like a business and have those boundary lines. So sometimes doulas are like, well, I let her know that we were going to be out of town overnight, and the woman is 28 weeks. It's like, what is that? And the doula feels like, well, I'm on call for her at all times. Not me. So I think if it's an extenuating circumstance where they're in a health situation, you might consider, okay, I might let you know that just so you've got backup for sure. But otherwise, I think we should have boundary lines, right?
Yeah. I learned a really great tip from an experienced doula here in our community that she likes to tell her clients to, if things start to happen mildly throughout the night, call her after 7 a.m. Obviously, if water breaks or things really ramp up and things get really, really active and she needs to know, then give her a call in the middle of the night. But if it's mild, if it's just coming and going, she can sleep in between them. Wait until after 7 so that the doula gets a good night's sleep. Let the partner sleep for as long as you can. And so I started doing that, and I finally just had my last birth. My client called me at 7 a.m. and she said, okay, I've been having kind of mild on and off contractions all night since midnight. And I said, thank you. Thank you so much.
That's great.
For waiting until 7 to call me, which I was fresh because, if you get that text or that phone call,
you don't go back to sleep.
You keep checking your phone. You're worried. You're thinking about how to put your whole life in order in the morning or, at 4 in the morning when things happen. So, yeah, boundaries are definitely there, but then we also know that things happen.
That's it.
Things happen. I'm actually really close, Thérèse. I think that's on what you're talking about. I've been pretty busy lately, and every night this week I've gotten a text or a phone call after 9:30.
Yeah.
Every single night. And last night I was just so tired, and I was in bed, and I was by myself on the computer, just zoning out, so happy because I've just, been going. And I just got a random text about something from a client that gave birth, 3 or 4 weeks ago. And I thought about that. I'm like, you know what? I've got to set some more boundaries because literally for the last 6 or 7 days, I've gotten a text at close to, 9:30 or 10.
Yeah, see,
I'm like,
yeah.
I know another busy doula in DC, and she sets office hours.
I think it's really important, and I also think that it's legitimate because we do need to have a life outside of this life. When you really think about it, I know that this is special. I know that it's unique, and we each as individuals can define how we want to practice. So this isn't, this is how you do it. But I think that we are learning the parameters that need to be set. And I'm certainly long experienced at this, that I feel it's really important that I don't want to be a doula every moment of my life. I want to be the other things that I am, and not, as it is, they're always in my brain. I know I'm always on call, but I don't really have to think about being on call with them until those last couple of weeks. And that's when I really want to give them the energy for that. And so I think, and I've suggested at workshops that, for instance, you could have hours, a couple times a week where you say, and this is just off, the top of my head saying this, on Mondays, I take calls between 9 and 12 o'clock. And on Tuesdays, I take calls between 6 and 9 o'clock, so that people who are daytime people, are available during the day. Switch it up, or my hours are only 9 to 5 every day. You can call me with the occasional evening call, just because the truth is most things that they're asking you about can wait. They're not emergency. And if they're emergency things, one, they should call their primary care provider, and two, they will call you. And if you see that they're calling at that time, you would go, oh, this must be something really important. But we have to let them know that. Otherwise, I have had doulas tell me that they get calls at 10 o'clock or later at night where the client is just saying, hey, I was just checking in. I just feel really itchy on my belly, and I'm wondering, I looked it up on the internet, and it looks like I could have that, PUPS, right? And it's like, if somebody's calling me at 10 o'clock to ask me that question, I'm going to be a little irritated at my client, thinking
it
that could wait
layer of professionalism.
Exactly.
It really makes it seem like a business.
Well, it is a business, this is where we get mixed up in it. It's so friendly that it feels like it's friends.
Right.
But the truth is, I don't like when my friends call me that late at night either. I'm kind of a poo about that, and always have been, though. At 9:00 was my limit for phone calls when the kids were little too, because at 9:00 I was hoping my kids were getting quiet or in bed, and then it was the time when I didn't have to deal with anybody. So, and if
that was my time last night, and this was about like the umbilical cord stump or something like that.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh,
I have a bruised spot on my uterus. I'm like, I think you need to call your care provider. So I think in practicality, you could text back and say like, hey, got your message, whether it's a voicemail or I'm looking forward to getting back, touching base with you in the morning.
That's
right.
Something so you just follow up that you know that you got that, and then it sort of just sets the parameter nicely. That you will call when.
Yeah, but see, that's because, and I agree with you, Mary. I think that's appropriate, so they don't keep then waiting. I think that's appropriate. But I think it should start like with you guys, with your next clients, and anybody who's listening, with your next clients, in your contract, revise that or give a sheet that's an addendum to that says, here are my hours, and this is great. Of course, if it's an emergency, it's like when I called somebody the other day who's a practitioner, and it said the first thing they say, if this is an emergency, hang up and call 911. So if this is a true emergency,
we're all going to have that on our voicemails now.
Yeah, hang up and call your primary care provider, and then if you need, then call me back. But otherwise, it's this: I am available these times. Except for emergencies. And then, of course, once I'm on call for you, then we are the 24-hour person for them. And I accept that. But I don't want to be thinking I have to talk to you about your diarrhea or that your husband pissed you off just now. Like,
it's so hard
call
to
your
have
girlfriend.
Your phone on you all
the time.
The one thing that Tara and I say to each other when one of us is off call is, oh my gosh, have fun. Lose your phone.
Yeah.
Lose your phone.
I always say that.
Yeah.
It's the best.
Yes. So
my husband,
you guys know that like panic of like when you like, it hasn't happened a ton with me, but like you like fall asleep with a toddler in another room, you jolt awake at like 4 a.m. Crap, I don't have my phone with me, and you run and you're just like praying to get back to your phone. Please be quiet. Please be quiet. Please let there be nothing. It's such an interesting world to always be completely attached to.
Or you flush your phone down the toilet like I did. That was awesome.
That's right, Melanie. That's what I was going to say. My phone broke, and I had to sit back and say, like, I was on call, but it was 38 weeks. I emailed her and gave her my husband's phone number, but it was like that panic of like, oh my gosh, I had to like talk myself down to say, like,
yes,
I'm not on call, to the point of like probably having to go out.
Right.
I'll be okay. She knows she's got the contact.
I can contact her.
Yep. My husband received a bunch of mucus plug pictures on his phone.
Here's another thought that I've put out there just to add into this, and then I want to talk about a little bit more with you guys about how you offer each other that kind of support in more detail, perhaps. But another thought about what we're discussing as far as boundary lines, that a woman kind of frowned at this at the last workshop, and I thought, well, this is business. This is business. I think it is viable to consider getting a separate cell phone for your business. You can add usually, and you can even get a track phone for that matter, which are really cheap, or you can add another line to your phone, often just for $10. And it's the number that you give your clients. You don't give them your personal phone number. And that way, that phone actually can be left at home when you're out on a date or out shopping or at the river, because your client if they're calling you, it's not before you're on call for them, then it's not your responsibility to be answering that call at that time. When you go home, you can check it and see if there's something there. But again, I would still do hours, and I would have a separate phone number. And then when you're on call, that is the number. Then you start carrying that phone with you. It's the one besides your bed, besides your personal phone. But then you've separated your personal life from your professional life. And somebody balked at that, like, well, I don't want a home line because they charge $40 extra. And I think, well, you're going to be charging these people money each month, each client for this is just going to be one of the monthly expenses you have of being a doula. You pay $10 or $20 a month to have a cell phone. So that's my thought, with the hours included and being really clear with your clients. You got to treat yourself like grown-ups, and you got to treat your clients like grown-ups. And they're not, sometimes they don't behave as grown-ups. They act like adolescents when they're pregnant. And I understand that, but then you are the grown-up helping them to grow up into the reality that they are parents to be. So that's my input.
No, I totally see that. So that actually brought up a question for me, ToRAISE, for you, is like, I feel like there's a little bit of a gray area with, like, in our contract, we say, like, you know, we're on call for you at 38 weeks, but we have, you know, during your pregnancy, I think the word, we have, Mary and I have very similar contracts, unlimited phone and email support. So is there a little bit of a gray area there of, like, yes, I'm going to provide you unlimited phone and email support before I'm on call for you, and then furthermore, what would be an acceptable time frame to get back to someone if you were off call for them and they are, you know, mentally thinking that you are going to, you know, in her contract it says unlimited phone and email support, and I need her right now. And we know that it's something that is not pertinent in an emergency. But as, like you said, they're adolescents sometimes, they're pregnant, you know, their world's revolving. Like, when's an acceptable time to get back to them? So
I think, again, it can say unlimited and phone contact and email during these hours.
I like that. That's what we need to say.
Until, and then be real specific about those hours. And then you say, I do my best to return. If I don't answer during those times, I do my best to respond within, and you give it a time frame. 3 hours, 6 hours, 24 hours, and then say in that same part, once you reach 38 weeks, I will be available 24 hours a day until you go into labor, until, you know, and then give your postpartum availability as well. You want to put a boundary line around that. Not that we can't talk to people past that boundary line, but we want it to, think about this as, I think about it as a painting contractor or a house contractor of some kind. They're not, I can't call them all the time to tell them, well, I just decided I want this, or I'm
having a color emergency.
Yeah, something like that. And then once the job is over, if the work is done fine, then it's not my job to keep, I shouldn't be calling them and saying, well, now that I've been standing in my kitchen, I was just thinking how much I just love this. And I was thinking maybe I'd like to do this myself as a living. And I thought I don't know. I think we have to remember, again, it's really friendly business, but it is business. We're not their friend. If they're having an emotional crisis and they can't reach me, then I hope they can either, one, have another person they can have that emotional crisis with, or learn how this is going to be what they're going to have to deal with as a parent and deal with it on their own, because I'm not always going to be there. And I sound mean. I was just thinking I sounded so mean, like I don't care about people, but of course I do. It's just, I don't want doulas to overdo, because you won't, it like what you felt last night, Tara, was totally legitimate. Like, damn, don't call me. I'm chilling here. I don't want to talk.
It was like my first moment to myself in like
days,
and I was 3 births this week. I've had 3 births this week, and it was like, man, I was just like,
well, and you got 4 kids.
A new shirt, like, come on, like. But ToRAISE, what I'm hearing and is not, and I was having a hard time hearing you. We just had to walk across the street for a second. But it's not that you're mean. I think that you've just done a lot of really good work in setting boundaries, and I think that's so important for us doulas. And all of this conversation just goes back to, like, we have to set the boundary up initially when we first meet them about out-of-town dates, about backup, about when are appropriate times to call us and like you said, just really make this professional and like it's a business. We wouldn't call you a painting contractor at 10 p.m. So,
right.
I just had a client.
It's so important to do it in the beginning because you can't backtrack.
No, that's it. That's why.
Exactly. And you become friends with these people, you know,
become
and that
friendly.
Exactly. But then that relationship can easily be, you know, swayed by their perception.
Yes.
And so by having those boundaries set up, I just had a client who gave birth last November, and she texted me this long litany of sleep issues that she's having with her child, and just wants to ask some questions and figure out, you know, what to do. And I wrote her back and said, I'd be happy to set up a parenting consultation with you if you would like that. And these are the hours and this is the fee. Mm-hmm. And she took it.
That's good.
And so, because it was, thank you. Well, and because I know that conversation is going to take a long time.
Yes, that's it. So that's why I want to stress again to everybody who's listening, if you have a contract, which you darn well better have a contract, I say this, whether it's for your sister, your friend, or a paying, you know, first client, consider revising your contract today so that clearly states boundary lines that you feel comfortable with. Do not give your life 100% to this, because as I've always said, if you're showing up in everybody else's life and you're not showing up in yours, you can't do this work. It's one, it's not going to sustain you, and two, you're kind of hypocritical to what we're trying to talk about, which is a wholeness in your life and being that role model. So I think this was a great way. This was totally a segue from what we thought we were going to be talking about in some ways, but I think it was.
I know. This was good. This was important, you know.
Yeah. Yes.
The right place.
I think I'm going to put the office hours on my sheet that I give people of reasons why I want to be called, and, you know, when to call me, reasons why to call me, and then have those hours on there.
Yeah. And make it really clear.
Yeah, I definitely want to update mine after this conversation.
Yeah.
It's about boundaries. It's about being kind to ourselves.
Yes.
We teach our moms. We support our moms to be kind to themselves.
Yes.
And rest when you teach them to take care. And it's like we have to walk the talk. You know.
You have to live it. Well, you have to live it.
Be kind, yeah.
And people.
Be kind to ourselves too.
And, you know, most people, unless, I mean, again, and I say this with love in my heart and really gentleness, but pregnant people are generally self-centered. I mean, and rightly so. They're pregnant and it's all about them. And so they're good, decent human beings overwhelmingly, though some are still always going to be a little selfish.
Yeah, most of them.
Yeah, but they don't want to take advantage of you but they don't know that they're taking advantage of you because you didn't let them know what the boundary lines are. When you say, you know, Tara, I have always said that too. I thought it was such a good thing that you brought up, that I used to always say, you know, but I'm on call for you from the moment we agreed to be together. Then I'm on call for you, unlimited, just like what you said. And I realized, well, that's who I am for my children. That's who I am for my partner. I can't be that for you. I don't have enough energy then for my children and my partner, and let alone myself, if I'm giving that also to X amount of other people. So I think it is good. And also, again, I'll just throw in there, considering having a separate line, which people don't have to agree with that either. But I think it's something to pause and really consider, could that help me also relax more? That when I see a phone number, I won't think, oh, should I answer that phone? You would only know that your clients had the different number. They wouldn't have your personal number, keeping it separate. So lastly, tell us a little bit about why you guys decided to be backups and not partners, because I think there's a distinction that Well, I think that there's a distinction that people get confused by, and I think you guys are a good example, perhaps, of that distinction. That because people are like, well, is a backup a partner, or if I have a partner, should I have a partner so I can have a backup? So how did it come to be?
Yeah. No, that's a really important clarification. We're just chuckling because we literally just talked about this before we got on the phone with you guys today.
We have a couple friends that are doulas that have joined partnerships and have really enjoyed it. And so we sent a couple emails back and forth to each other going, we need to just talk about it. Let's explore it.
Maybe they know something we don't know.
Yeah, but it's hard because,
it's hard because like some months I got more childcare available for me. I have a live-in nanny now, and so I can take sometimes more clients a month. So I think logistically,
she is amazingly there for all of her like 5 clients. And
no. This summer is pretty busy, but so I think we have to hash out those logistics. But I think childcare. We have 7 children between the 2 of us, and they're all pretty young. The oldest is 6. So. I think childcare issues, figuring out the financial piece of it, like how much do each of us need to bring home for our personal family budgets each month. So we're definitely exploring that option. But as of now, why for years have we never done it? It was just, we had this good thing going with backing each other up.
Yeah, and we've had babies on and off opposite times. So every time I would have a toddler, she would be pregnant. And it was kind of that worked for many years. But I think the relationship is nice that I personally like solo practice because I think clients, I like to develop relationships with my clients, and I actually had a doula practice when I had my first child. I hired a doula practice, and I liked it, but I can see I didn't get to know either one of them very well, and so I appreciate that about working with clients. That it's a neat relationship. I feel like I'm gaining friends isn't the right word because they usually don't continue much after the birth, but I'm gaining relationships that I value and I think are valuable for them as well. And I'm not sure a partnership would offer that same level of connection.
And
So
you also, what I'm hearing or I'm thinking is that you have autonomy in how you practice and how you do your prenatal visits and how you have your own website. And even though you guys seem to have very similar ways of doing things, you can have that autonomy, but you also know that you are very similar and that if your client needs to have the other one, they will feel very comfortable knowing that, though, well, I don't have Tara. This Mary is so wonderful. I don't have Mary, but this Tara is so wonderful that they feel still nurtured and taken care of.
Do your clients ever meet?
Yeah.
Do your clients now, as just backups, do ever meet the other one?
They've asked a bunch.
We used to do that in the beginning a lot more than we do now. Now I offer a phone call. I said, I say sort of nonchalantly, I say, she's amazing. She has a website. Check her out. I'm sure she'd be happy to chat with you on the phone. Is what I say.
Yeah.
I used to kind of say, I'm sure she'd be able to meet with you, but that's just not practical.
Too much.
No, it's too much.
It's too much.
And so,
you guys know that.
And so, do they ever call one of you just to chat?
Maybe once or twice.
Not much.
I had one client. I remember we
met
one
time.
At your house.
Yeah, and I think for a particular client, if it's an outstanding situation, we will work with each other. But for the most part, we haven't had to do it.
Websites are so informative now. Like, I just give them Mary's website and tell them she's amazing. If you would be comfortable with me, I'm 110%, confident that you would be totally comfortable with her as well.
That has been my experience in the past as well, where I would just say, you're welcome to talk to them. And overwhelmingly, most people, because this was also when it was regular for me with that pre-website days. So here's the response most people said to me: Thérèse, if you chose this person, I feel really comfortable. And if it happens, it'll happen. It'll be, I hope it doesn't happen, but I'm sure it'll be fine. And so I don't think anybody ever got called. I got called a couple of times from people who just wanted to hear my voice and know who this person was. But that was far and few between in all the years of being backup or going to a birth for someone. So, partnerships work great for some people. And I think mainly the partnership thing, why it works and what can be the difference with a backup and having your own business is, it can be for scheduling. It can be that it can help create the possibility of not always being on call. Like I know with the partnership, some people will say, well, if you go into labor on, this particular week, this doula will be on call. I will be on call the following week, they do weekly calls. Some do the Monday. If you go into labor on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, every other Sunday, then I will be your doula. The other doula is Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, every other Sunday, and that way the doula gets some time truly off from being on call. And that can work for people who have jobs outside of the home or with children or just because they want to have that time off. So I think that can be a difference in a partnership versus being backup.
It sounds to me like you guys, though, have kind of a backup partnership.
Yeah. Yes, I think that's it.
We really do. And Mary just stepped out, speaking of the 7 kids, she just had to go pick up 4 of them at little camp. So
okay.
She stepped out for a second. Yes, that's essentially what we have. And we've said it before, but it's really just a nice thing. All our clients know of each other.
Yep.
And it's just work. It's just work. And Terry, just to touch on what you said, again, I'm chuckling because just this morning we were hashing out the partnership stuff. But so say hypothetically, Mary and I went into partnership together. We were kind of saying, are we really off call because we're taking twice as many clients
right.
to make it work for the partnership. So then there's going to be a lot of times where either 2 clients are in labor, or you guys know, one's in labor, one's
right.
raising up, that kind of thing. So are we really getting that off-call time if we're taking twice as many clients? And admittedly, maybe I'm not familiar yet with the partnership where there's first call and second call, and you can maybe relax a little bit more when you're on second call, but you still kind of have it in your mind. I don't know, because I haven't done it. But
well, I think
that's kind of what we were talking about.
Yeah, I think you're bringing up a really good thing about that, the logistics. I think some partnerships, it's not that they increase their volume. They basically keep their volume at the same. Tara, I think you do about 5 births a month, 3 to 5.
Yeah, that's pretty much where I am
right.
3 to 5. Yeah.
And so Mary, is she about 3 to 5 as well? Or
she's probably 2 to 4.
2 to 4. And so the combination, I'm hearing you say, you would, for financial reasons, you would feel like that's what you need to maintain and feel good about doing the work and what your family and your life can manage. So you're talking 9 to 10 births a month. Yeah, then you're right. It doesn't, to me, then you're not really getting that off-call time. You're just combining, you're solidifying.
It's combining the workload.
Yeah, the workload. But I think for some, it's that they're doing 3 births a month. They go into a partnership and they now do 3 to 5 births a month instead. And so that,
I hear you.
Yeah, I think, and I may be wrong, there are all different kinds of partnership, and some people have 3 partners. And to me, that's the max, because I just think otherwise it's not fair to your clients to have so many different doula possibilities. It becomes more like that doctor practice or midwife practice that's large and they don't know who's going to be on call with them. But, we're going to have to wrap this up in a second, except to say your backup situation is not just backup as far as the logistical births. It's also the emotional support that you both brought up initially.
Absolutely, and I feel like where we are right now, we have that emotional support from one another. So
Yeah.
maybe we're in a good spot. We'll probably just end up staying here. Yeah, Mary's back now
with all the kids we can hear. Well, I want to please thank Mary as well. And Tara, thank you so much for spending time, you guys chatting with us and with everybody who's listening. And I think you're doing an awesome job. And everyone, one of the things I want to suggest is you look at Celebrated Birth. It's celebratedbirth.com. And yours again is?
Begin Within Birth.
Beginwithinbirth.com.
Right. Look at their websites. They've got great websites and good information and how they've set up their practices. And it'll give you, especially those who are new, but even for those who are experienced, some insights into how things are happening. And consider that professionalism that we just spent so much time talking about. And have a great day with what will be eventually 10 children. Then it will go down to 7. It'll go down to 7 for you and Mary. When you go home and only have 3, you'll think, oh, this is so nice and quiet. So yes.
I know.
And Melanie's going home to 0.
And I just want to say thank you, Tara. I love you so much. Tara is taking my 3 youngest kids tonight and tomorrow.
Yes.
And, I love you. You're the best.
Oh, wait, they're staying tomorrow night, too? I love your kids. And Thérèse, I just want to say how grateful I am to you. And I'm going to get choked up, so I can't say too much. But you have guided all 3 of us in what has been such amazing work, and not only in doula work, but in motherhood and in life. And we love you. We really value you.
We do.
Oh, well, thank you. Okay, enough. Okay, I love you guys. Bye now.
Okay, love you. Bye.
Bye.